Okay, so today we'll be looking at the least count of the dial gauge. Some people call this the dilatometer. Others call it the dial indicator. Okay, so that's the dial gauge, right? We'll look at the least count, okay, and then also how to read some simple measurement on the dial gauge. Okay, so first of all, okay, so first of all, we can check this particular point, right? This is the unit. We call this the plunger, okay? Once this, how it works is, once this plunger goes in, right? Goes in like this, then the revolution counter starts to move, okay? So we call this the revolution counter. The main one, the bigger one, is the revolution counter. It goes clockwise, right? While the smaller one goes anti-clockwise. Okay, so the plunger, so the revolution counter goes around like 10 times for this. So if it goes 1, right, realize that from here, now before we start using this, we need to start and then we set this to 0. So we can just move this and set the main revolution counter to 0. We set this to 0, okay? Then this on 0. So once we push in this, right? Once we push in this, right, realize that when this one goes around this, this is 1, okay, 2, 3, in that order, okay. So this goes around 10 times to have the whole of this. So when this goes around this 1, right, this moves to 1, okay. When the revolution counter, right, this bigger scale goes, this goes and then comes back to 0, that's 1 revolution, okay. When you get this to go around and come back to 0 again, which is 1 revolution, this moves to 1. When it goes for the second time, this moves to 2. Goes for the third time, this goes to 3. So let's see how that one works. So this is 1, okay. Realize this is on 1, so that's the first one. This is the second revolution, right? So it's on 2. This is the third revolution. This goes to 3, right? So on the 10th revolution, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. On the 10th revolution, this will go back to the 0. Okay, so that's the 10th revolution, which is the 0. Okay, so the least count is what we see here, is in millimeters. Okay, you realize that there are 2 arrows here leading this way, right, head on. Okay, this is trying to tell us that each box here, right, each box here from here to here, or each division here is 0.01. Each division there is 0.01, right? So that's the meaning. This, right, you realize that there is a gap here in between. The gap here indicates that each division on this revolution counter, this scale, each division on this scale, right, is 0.01. Okay, it means that when this dial gauge moves to the first one, like this 0.0, it's very sensitive, so when it moves here, this 0.06. okay, let me point with this. When it moves here, this 0.06, 0.05, so this 0.01, the first division, okay, this 0.02. I told you before we start, we set this to 0, right? So we set this to 0, okay, so that makes this very division 0.01. okay, so that's what they told us here, right? They said each division is 0.01. so this 0.01, this 0.02, 0.03 in that order, right? Okay, so let me write it. So each division is 0.01 mm of a millimeter. Okay, now if this moves to this 0.05, okay, so that will be 0.05 of a millimeter, okay, of a millimeter, meaning that when this moves to 10, you see, when you move, it goes to, so let's say this moves to 10, right, this way 10, right, this becomes, so the 10, our 10, when it moves to 10, right, when this moves to 10, our 10 becomes 0.10 mm. If each division is 0.01, it means that this will be 0.01, 0.02, 0.03 in that order, 0.0. Let me just move this out of the way. Okay, so this will be 0.01, 0.01, 0.02, 0.03 in that order, 0.05, 6, 7, 0.08, 9, and this 0.10. So 10 will be 0.10. That's how it's measured, okay, in millimeters. Okay, so that's the 10. Okay, meaning that when this moves to 20, meaning that when it moves to 20, like this, okay, when it moves to, let's say, 30, the 30th one, right, when it moves here, that will give us 0.30 mm. Mind you, with all this, we've not considered the small one yet, because even when it moves to 30, it hasn't passed 1, okay. So even when it moves to 30, it hasn't passed the 1, okay. When it moves to 30, it hasn't passed the 1. So let's see. You see, when it moves to 60, it hasn't passed the 1. Until it passes that 0, then it gets to 1. Okay, so that's one revolution. So when it hasn't passed the 1, all our measurement will be like this. Okay, so on the 9th, when it gets to 90, right? When it moves to 90, when it moves to 90, okay, when it moves to 90, our 90 becomes 0.90 mm. Okay, 0.90 mm. Okay, in that order, when we are measuring we are taking measurement, right? And then this one passes the 1. right? When this one passes the 1, that one becomes 1 point. Okay, we are saying that if this on the 90th value, it gives us 0.09 mm, and then we say that our 0 is 1 revolution. When it goes round, is 1 revolution. Then when it goes round and passes 90, when this one moves to 1, right? When this one moves to 1, that will be 100. You see, when it gets to 90, the 90, our 90 becomes 0.90 mm. Okay, it means that when it gets to 0 again, for the first revolution, that will be 100, and then 100 will become 1.0 mm. Okay, so taking measurement on this, when we are taking measurement on this, right, and then assuming this one passes 2 revolutions, or this one does 2 revolutions, right, and then the small scale, right, this smaller scale, the smaller scale, you see, reads anti-clockwise, and then the bigger one goes clockwise. If the smaller scale gets to, let's say, 3 revolutions, right, like this, 3 revolutions like this, right, and then you realize that the smaller one is on the 20, right? The smaller one is on the 20. This one becomes 3 point. Let's watch here. So that one becomes 3 point. Realize that the smaller one was on the 20. The smaller one was on the 20. You see. So if this one comes to 3 and then this one is on 20, the bigger one is on 20, that one will become 3.20 mm. Very simple. Let's try one more example. Let's try one more example. Let's try one more example. If our measurement, right, doesn't go or doesn't exceed 1 revolution, right? If our measurement doesn't exceed 1 revolution, then our measurement will be like what we did on top here. Like what we did here, okay? So whatever readings you want to take, you can take. I mean, if we are reading and it doesn't pass 1 revolution, and then this one hasn't passed the 1, it means that if this one gets here like this, the bigger one, right, like this, right, it's very sensitive. So okay, like this measurement, when it gets here, right, so that will give us 0.77 mm. Right? I mean, when it doesn't pass 1 revolution, and then this bigger pin comes here, right? So this 0.70 mm. It means when it gets here, that will be 0.77 mm. Okay. Now, when it does 1 revolution, right? When it goes round 1 revolution, right? So, and then this one becomes 1. That will be 1 point. Then we read the smaller value and add to it. Okay. So when this one comes on 1 like this, so that's 1 revolution, right? Let's say we want to take this measurement. So this particular measurement will be 1.77 mm. Okay, 1.77 mm on this measurement. Okay. So this is 1.77 mm. The thing is very sensitive, so okay, when the dial gets to this particular point, yes, this particular point, that's, yes, this one, it becomes 1.77 mm. When the measurement, when this one gets to, when you're watching the small one, let's say the small one gets to, let's take this particular measurement for instance. You see, the smaller one has now passed 4, right? So that one will be 4 point, you get it? That one will be 4.0, 4.7. The thing is very sensitive, so let's say it passes 4, right? This one is supposed to be 4.89 mm, right? This one, this particular point, is supposed to be 4.99 mm. You see 99, so left with 0.1, then when it passes, get to the 0, so that will be 5.0 mm. Okay, so that's how we read this. Each division here is 0.1, 0.1. So with that, when the smaller one doesn't pass 1, and then let's say we get to 40, that will be 0.40 mm. Okay, this particular point that we are seeing here is 0.47 mm. Okay, that should be 0.47 mm, this particular one, because the smaller one, the smaller scale hasn't passed the 1. Okay, so that's how we use the dialatometer. Thank you.